Speed Talk on 1360 here on KRWC. Dean and Jason talking racing, along with a Legends driver from Elko Speedway, Ted Ho. Hey Ted, I hear that you have an announcement, an exclusive on Speed Talk, so let's hear it.
Well, I'll try to make this brief so I don't take up too much of your time here, but you know, I've been racing at Elko for a long time. Speaking of BIR, you guys were mentioning BIR earlier. I went up there about a year ago, started learning how to road course race at the school. After I'd completed my club licensing course, the main instructor, Gary Curtis, got me in touch with a development driving team called 4R Motorsports based out of Arizona. They run a number of cars in Pirelli World Challenge and various different endurance style races in America. And I just signed a deal to go race at Miller Motorsports Park for 4R Motorsports, racing in Shea Racing's number 66 ID for Life TCB car. It's a Honda Fit. It's a 3-race weekend with 30-minute sprint formats and standing starts. I'm very excited to be able to represent a professional team in a national series, and going to go see how it goes.
Fantastic.
And Miller Motorsports Park, for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, tell us a little bit about that track.
Well, it's a three configuration course in Tahiti, Utah. Most of the courses are anywhere between 3 kilometers and 6 kilometers in length. I think we're running the full course, but depending on how the weekend goes and how the bigger cars go, they might turn us down to running the west configuration, which is only about 2 miles. Very flat, but it's very hot, very greasy, kind of cementy tarmac that you slide around on a lot. So it's a big kart track almost, where you're really trying to get the most speed you can out of the car, and watching other people race there, it seems like it's going to be a handful, but a lot of fun.
After looking at some pictures from that racetrack, I see that unlike around here where BIR, you've got pine trees and trees all around, you have mountains around that racetrack. I mean, you look off and you see mountains. Yeah. That is a cool thing here for a Minnesota boy, right?
Yeah, well, it's interesting seeing how the topography of different areas affects the racing itself. It seems to recall, since it's so flat with mountains in the background near the track, it gets really windy there, so it's going to be crazy coming down the longer straights with the wind pushing a small little subcompact car halfway sideways, but we'll see how it goes.
Tell me about the team you're going to be driving for.
Well, Shea Motorsports has been working off of a personal budget for a while. Shea Hollebrook, woman racer, very successful in the Touring Car A category in Pirelli World Challenge TCB. Has a long history with helping other teams out, and them in the development team 4R Motorsports partner a lot and sometimes swap cars and swap drivers. Fred Emick, a TC driver, owns a Volkswagen dealership, very successful. They've brought a driver who is now racing a Porsche Cayman in the pure touring car class for money. He isn't pay driving anymore. They brought him through. They've won races in Houston and Texas. At Brainerd, I've seen them win in person. You know, they're a very successful team, and they get a lot of work done in the series. I'm very excited to be partnered with them.
And you have done some road course racing in the past. Like you said, you've been up to the Performance Driving School at BIR. We know Gary really well. But also, the Legends cars, you raced up there, and you actually won that race.
Well, I won our inaugural race up there last year against Tim Brockhouse, who owns the dealership down here, and has been an amazing advocate for me and helped me out a lot in my racing career about a year after my father passed away. So that was a massive emotional win for me against some really, really tough competition. It was invite only. There were good Legends road racers there and people with a lot of experience. So it was really satisfying to go up there and get the job done.
When you talk about drivers in Minnesota, you talk about dirt track racing, you talk about asphalt racing and stuff like that, and road racing kind of gets off the game plan, off the targets here and stuff like that. How did you get this interest in getting into road racing? Because I don't hear a lot of people say, I want to go road racing, especially young drivers. Older drivers, yeah, because you can do that longer, but younger drivers don't say that very often.
Well, the interest for me was when I got into motorsports, I was a little kid. I actually started doing simulators at a really young age, and all that stuff was road course, so Gran Turismo and iRacing and R-Factor and R-Factor Pro, which are the main simulators that a lot of people in the racing industry use to practice and model their stuff off of. So it was in my blood first. It was the technique I learned first before I started oval racing, simply because the community in oval racing is bigger and it's a lot more accessible. So my long-term game plan was always to switch to road course racing. And I couldn't figure out how. There was only one track in Minnesota. A lot of the ones in Wisconsin were club only. And that's where Gary Curtis helped me out so much. Is I was just a kid in his driving course that was 15 with a bunch of 30-something guys who brought old stock cars and old vintage race cars that were terrifying. Didn't know what I was doing, but he really helped me out, took me under his wing, taught me everything he knew about the technique, and within one driving school and maybe 3 track day sessions in that one race, I'm already a very, very, very proficient road course racer. So, a lot of it is just an interest thing. You got to go for it.
Well, another thing that I like about the road course racing, we see all the intense stuff going on around the stock cars. It's a different kind of mantra around the pit area too when you go to a road race. It's so much more relaxed. It seems like though there's a lot of intensity, a lot of things you need to do when you're going
around
fast.
the paddock.
Yes, a paddock. Excuse me. That's right.
When we're done, we're gonna have to go through the Karen Park for a night.
Yes, exactly. So that's kind of an interesting thing. A lot of people don't know that, and it's a shame that a lot of race fans don't get a chance to experience it because there is so much different and cool things about road racing that people don't know about, isn't it?
Well, it's incredible. I mean, I've been racing locally for 5 years, so I know everybody by first name in the pits when we go to Elko Speedway. And you get those rivalries, and you get that short track, you get the brawls and the fights you get kicked out of the track for every once in a while, and all the rough and tumble. But it's still very close. It's a very tight-knit Christian community. And then you go to road course racing, and it seems more distant until you actually get in there and start talking to people. And it's just as close. It's just not as intense, I would say. Things don't feel as high-strung, as high-wire. The people are there for the racing, since the tracks are so difficult and the cars are so different and there's so many different classes. It's just different, and I really like the atmosphere there.
And they discourage contact a lot more in road racing. that is a part of it. It really is a part of it. Let's talk about your career at Elko Speedway a little bit too, because I know you started in the Bandoleros, and I love the picture that your mom, Kathy, put up on Facebook a while back of all you kids racing Bandoleros, and 2/3 of you are still racing.
Well, and that's incredible. That's the opportunity that 600 Racing has given a lot of kids in the United States with the Bandolero and Legends car class. 2 of my friends race super late models. 3 of them are still on Legends cars. One's currently building a Big 8. One of them is still kart racing competitively. And they're winning races against people who have been racing for decades, and they're all 15, 16, 17 years old. And Elko has one of the most competitive legend car fields in the country. We go out to nationals and we win every time we go. There are so many good racers there. Matt Allen is my teammate, and I love him to death. And Travis Warling has amazing chops. Jackson Lewis is a rookie who's just incredible that I've been trying to teach. And it makes me feel bad because I'm the one going pro, and half these kids beat me every week, so it gets a little bit strange. But Tim does such good work with the dealership up here, and I really think if you want to learn how to race, you should get into a Bando or get into a Legends car. And it doesn't matter how old you are, because you can do it yourself. That's what they're designed for. Nice and cheap, nice and fun, nice and simple.
One of the other things to talk about Legends cars, I know a lot of drivers have moved from Legends cars into late models, and they say, you think you're moving up to a late model, I think, that's going to be hard to drive. They say the Legends car is actually the harder thing to drive. Is that even compared to a road racing? Is that more demanding, it seems like?
It's incredible how difficult Legends cars are to drive because no power clutch, no power steering, no power brakes. So it's physical, it's hot, it's exhausting, and the cars are very simple. They don't have advanced suspension, so they teach you how to manhandle a car. You have to dig and get into a corner and force the car to misbehave to drive it. They're incredibly difficult to drive, but very rewarding when you learn how to walk the line.
Ted Ho with us here on Speed Talk on 1360 on KRWC. If people wanted to follow along on your racing now, what is the date of that race? And tell us kind of the details again and how people could follow along with your career.
So the Pirelli World Challenge is going to be airing the 23rd, 22nd, 21st, 22nd, and 23rd of August on PirelliWorldChallengeTV.com. You can just go on to the PirelliWorldChallenge.com website and check all their broadcast information. It's also tape delayed from September the 1st through September the 3rd, I believe, on CBS Sports Network. All 7 classes are going to be racing, so they're broadcasting different races, but if you watch all of them. I'm going to be in the TC, TCA, and TCB class weekends. And you can also follow me on Twitter at TedHOfficial, and you can follow us on Facebook at Ho68 Racing, and I might also be making a personal page for me as an athlete soon here. I'm not sure, but I'll let you know when that gets settled.
Fantastic. So this is a one-race deal right now, but maybe it could lead to more stuff.
One for this year, and then I'm planning on running an extensive testing schedule in Arizona at several different racetracks next winter, and then doing a full season next year with the same team.
We got to get those guys back at Brainerd here. That's for sure.
Yeah,
see
for
that.
sure.
We
Come out.
We want to
It's-
see you race at Brainerd.
It's incredible fun.
Yeah. Well, Ted Ho joining us here on Speed Talk on 1360. Thank you very much. Now you stick around because we've got another local segment coming on next.
And his home track we're going to be talking
Yeah,
about.
talking about Elko Speedway, and we also want to thank our sponsors here on the radio too. Norm's Wayside. Without these sponsors, we couldn't do the show. Elko Speedway with a big Eve of Destruction tonight. Performance Driving School at VIR, big sponsor of us. Lou Fager's Racing Equipment with their 50-year celebration this year. Stockholm Karting Center in Cokato. They raised $50,000 for charity last weekend.
Absolutely incredible.
How many go-kart tracks could raise $50,000 for charity?
Not many.
Wow, that is an awesome place. Highway 55 trailer sales and radioactive mobile electronics. Back with more Speed Talk on 1360 right after this.